So if you're working in sustainability, you know the challenge isn't a lack of data, right? It's a total flood of it. We are drowning in metrics, and it can be a real struggle to figure out what actually matters for enterprise value. Well, today, we are going to break down a framework that's designed to cut right through that noise and help us find the real story. This quote just hits the nail on the head. Sustainability data, even when it comes from great frameworks like the SASB standards, it's not some kind of magic bullet. It's really the starting line for analysis, not the finish line. The real insights, the stuff that actually drives strategy and valuation, well, that takes a much more disciplined approach. Let's take a number like this one, 1.88 cubic meters of water per ton. Okay, great. Maybe it's an improvement from last year. But what does it really tell us? Does it signal a huge risk because the company's in a water-stressed region? How does it stack up against competitors? Is this efficiency actually creating a cost advantage? See, the number by itself doesn't tell us any of that. It just begs us to start asking better, smarter questions. And here's how we're going to get to those better questions. First, we'll talk about moving beyond the raw data. Then I'll introduce a really powerful 5-factor framework. We'll see how to apply it in the real world, and finally, we'll look at how it can give analysts a serious edge. So let's jump in. Okay, so at the very heart of this whole approach is what's called the 5-factor test. I want you to think of it like a toolkit, a systematic way to really interrogate a sustainability issue from every possible angle, so you can understand its true connection to the business, not just today, but well into the future. These are the 5 lenses we're going to look through. We'll examine the direct financial links, what's happening in the regulatory world, what the competition's up to, social pressures, and then, my favorite part, the opportunities for innovation. You put them all together, and you get a much, much clearer picture of what's truly material. First up, the most direct link there is, connecting a sustainability topic, like energy management or waste, straight to the company's financial performance. This is the most immediate, most tangible evidence you can find of financial materiality. So the big question you have to ask here is, can you actually see this on the P&L or the balance sheet right now? Is it showing up as a fine, an operational cost, a new capital expenditure? If the answer is yes, well, you've got yourself a direct financial impact. Now, the second factor is a big one. It's recognizing that companies just don't operate in a bubble. The regulatory climate, what's law today and what could become law tomorrow, is a massive, massive driver of both risk and opportunity. We're talking everything from carbon taxes to supply chain transparency laws. This is what forces you to look around the corner. Is there new legislation in the works? Are policymakers dropping hints about a shift? Honestly, anticipating these changes is absolutely crucial to understanding future financial impacts before they actually hit the books. Our third factor here is all about context. A company's performance, it's always relative, right? So what are its peers doing? Best practices and competitive pressures can very quickly turn something that was a nice-to-have sustainability initiative into a must-have just to keep up. This is such a great tell. When you see a whole industry voluntarily reporting on something, say workplace diversity or carbon emissions, even when there's no law forcing them to, that's a huge signal that the market itself sees it as financially material. Factor 4 brings the outside world into the picture. Your stakeholders, and that's everyone from customers and employees to NGOs and local communities, they can exert an incredible amount of pressure. Their concerns can directly impact brand value, consumer demand, and even a company's basic license to operate. Just think about it for a second. Are customers starting to demand ethically sourced products? Are the most talented employees choosing where to work based on a company's values? These pressures create very real financial risks and opportunities, all tied up in brand and reputation. And finally, we get to look at the upside. This factor shifts our focus away from just managing risk and towards creating value. You see, tackling sustainability challenges isn't just about avoiding problems. It can be a powerful engine for innovation, creating new products, more resilient supply chains, and opening up entirely new markets. This is the forward-looking, strategic question we should all be asking. Where can the company do more than just comply? Where can it actually lead? Where can it turn a sustainability headache into a competitive advantage that really sets it apart from everyone else? Okay, so that's the theory, but how does this framework actually hold up in the real world? Let's take a single issue, supply chain audits in the processed foods industry, and run it through our 5 factors to see just how many layers of insight we can uncover. Look at how this brings a single issue to life. Not having enough supplier audits isn't just a percentage on a report. No, it's a direct financial risk if a key supplier suddenly fails. It's a regulatory driver, as new transparency laws are being debated. It's about industry norms, because your peers are being held responsible for their partners' actions. It's driven by stakeholder concerns, from people like you and me who want ethically sourced food. And this is the big one. It's a missed opportunity for innovation, a chance to build a stronger, more transparent supply chain that actually becomes a competitive advantage. So let's see how this framework helps build a much, much richer story. The really critical thing to see is how it transforms a simple data point into a genuine strategic insight. I mean, just look at the difference here. Without the framework, you've got a fact. 60% of suppliers are audited. It's fine. It's static. But with the framework, that exact same fact becomes this dynamic assessment of risk and opportunity. You can immediately see the stakeholder pressure, the direct financial risk of a supply chain disruption, and that strategic opening to get ahead of your competitors. You go from just reporting a number to actually interpreting what it means. And this deeper meaning is what makes the whole framework so incredibly powerful. This isn't just some academic exercise. It's a tool for making your findings actionable, for informing strategy, and for elevating the conversations you have with management and investors. You can use this to systematically map sustainability issues right onto your existing enterprise risk management processes. You can use it to guide your dialogue with leadership, focusing those board-level talks on the topics that have the clearest link to financial performance. And for investors, it creates a structure for way more meaningful engagement that goes far beyond just checking a box on a scorecard. And this is really the challenge for all of us, isn't it? How do we take these tools and shift the entire conversation inside our own organizations? How do we move sustainability from being a discussion about compliance and reporting to being about strategy, risk, and ultimately, competitive advantage? You know, at the end of the day, adopting a structured approach like this is what separates basic reporting from true analysis. It's all about developing an analyst's edge by consistently pushing beyond the what to really uncover the why. And that's the question I really want to leave you with today. The data is out there. The metrics exist. But is your analysis truly connecting those dots back to what matters most? The creation, the preservation, or the erosion of enterprise value? Thanks so much for your time.